listening to episode 1 of the Wheeler's Dog Podcast. And again, thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate it. I've been out of podcasting for quite a while now. The Less Desirables was the last podcast I was a part of. I was recently part of their 10th anniversary celebration. You can find The Less Desirables on Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. It was fun. I was the TV critic, and I got to put my love to TV to work for me and talk about what I like, what I don't like, new shows coming up, that sort of thing. So that podcast was fun, and I'm still a TV junkie, not as much as I used to be. My wife has unfortunately kind of put the brakes on that. Subconsciously, she just gave me a nasty look. Yes, we're broadcasting live. Is that really the term? We're podcasting live in the Big House Game Room here in Clemmons, North Carolina. Just inside of Davidson County. That's right. We're in Clemmons, which is Forsyth County, but we live in Davidson County. But, the way the postal system works, that's the deal. So, anyway, recording live for the first podcast here, Wheeler's Dog. Kind of excited about it. I've still not got all the pieces into place for this podcast, but it's coming together. And I figured it'd be a work in progress. And just to let you know, first of all, I'm going to do 2 podcasts a week. So if you'd like to support my efforts at patreon.com, by all means you can. There's 3 different levels. There's the dog's chair level, which gives you all the audio to unlock. And then there's a VIP, behind the bark VIP. So that starts at $8 per month. $4 per month, $8 per month. $2 per month is just kind of like, hey, thanks, I appreciate what you're doing, and I do. Again, the $4 level, you get, or it could be $5, $6, or $7. You get all the audio, but for $8, you're in the VIP area. That's right. You get all the audio, plus you get some extra perks, like I might have some stickers made, send stickers out to people. I might find some weird kind of off-the-wall knickknacks or something to purchase everybody and send them out. So it's just my way of saying thank you for contributing to that level. Again, check it out. Look for Wheeler's Dog on patreon.com. The first 5 episodes of this podcast are going to be absolutely free to anybody, everybody. Hey, enjoy. Check it out. Sort of stretch your ears. Get a feel for what the podcast is all about. Well, since I got that out of the way, let me go ahead and talk about Wheeler's Dog. Lots of times, people have asked me, where did you get Wheeler's Dog from? It's my blog, and the reason why I've made it into a podcast, well, frankly, people have stopped reading blogs. The traffic isn't what it used to be on the blog. And keep in mind, it is an award-winning blog. Sure, the award was a Reader's Choice Award from a local newspaper, News and Record, and their weekly insert, which called Go Triad. So in 2006, I was voted number 1 blog in the Triad. Very exciting. I beat out a guy named David Hogg, and he's very politically minded, or was very politically minded, and his blog actually was about something that mattered, and mine just happened to beat it out. So I think that's quite an accomplishment to have that, and I thank anybody and everybody that's ever voted for me in anything, whether it's best DJ in the Triad, which I've come up runners up several times, and hey, just to be in the company that I was in, that's huge. Different people that I've worked with over the years that I've gotten to know. Just to be in that group, included in that group, that's fantastic. But the blog, Wheeler's Dog, is kind of moved on to the podcast. So we'll see how that goes. I hope I bring you something interesting, funny, maybe possibly enlightening. Gosh, if there was a studio audience in here, they'd be laughing. But anyway, the deal is Wheeler's Dog. Where did I get the name? Well, when I was working at Rock 92, I had a boss. His last name was Wheeler. So everybody automatically assumed that I was working like a dog for Mr. Wheeler. That's not where it came from. So that's a big misunderstanding there. So let's clear that up. It actually comes from a TV show that twisted me. That's right. I'm a very twisted individual. If you've not noticed that on social media or anything that I've ever done or written on WheelersDog.com, I'm a bit of a twisted individual. And my wife will tell you that I'm even more twisted than I will let on publicly because I'm sick. And one of the things that twisted my sense of humor is the television show Green Acres. It is my all-time favorite TV series. I grew up with it. I was crazy about it. It also influenced the way I think comedy-wise. I've seen many different variations of the TV show, like, say, for instance, Newhart, News Radio. You see that kind of blueprint, that Green Acres comedy blueprint. Now, yes, it came after the Beverly Hillbillies by the same people, but it was completely different. It was zany. It was insane. It was a fish out of water. Mr. Douglas, a city boy, always wanted to be a farmer. And so he goes there and everybody's nuts except him. Everything revolves around a crazy little world called Hooterville. There's a pig named Arnold that, is the son of the Ziffles. It's just a bizarre little show. It can be, how should I put this? It can be very, I can't think of the word. But anyway, it's an odd little show. And there's a character on there. His name is Mac Wheeler. He is the father of Darlene Wheeler. And Eb Dawson, the Douglas's hired hand there at Green Acres, he is going to marry Darlene Wheeler. Well, he always calls his parents, the Douglases, he calls them his parents. They're not his parents. So anyway, in order to pass muster with Mr. Wheeler to get the ball rolling on the marriage, Eb invites his parents over to the Wheelers for dinner. And they have a German Shepherd. And my wife is tiptoeing around here in the game room, worried about making noise. First of all, I'm going to do it in the game room. And if it happens, people just walk in, make noise, whatever, I don't care. Because I am kind of talking about my life on this podcast. So the noises in the background, hey, it's part of my life. So I'm doing it from the game room at the big house. But anyway, let's get back to the Green Acres thing. So they meet the Wheelers, they get there, and anytime Mr. Douglas raises his voice, the Wheeler's big German Shepherd starts barking. He doesn't like it. So to kind of give you an idea of what the Wheeler's dog is all about, excuse me, apologize for that. But to give you an idea, I've got little clips from that episode of Green Acres that took place in the, I think it's called Enterprising Ebb. It's in the 6th and final season of the show. So to give you an idea, here is the first clip.
Why don't we sit down and get comfortable? Thank you.
Not there, dummy. That's the dog's chair.
Look, Wheeler.
Over there.
You drink pretty good. Ever think of trying AA?
I don't...
Now let's discuss some of your other personal habits.
I've had about enough. Don't make no sudden moves.
And then the next day, Mr. Douglas and Eb are coming out of the barn, and they walk over to Lisa Douglas, and she's feeding the chicken that's just sitting right there. And Mr. Douglas starts to slightly raise his voice, and here's what happens.
Eb, why did you tell Mr. Wheeler I was giving him 40 acres and a house? I was just trying to make you look good.
I don't need
Why
any...
are you limping?
Oh, somebody slapped me on the knee.
Who were you bothering?
I wasn't bothered. What the...
Oh, she learned that from Mr. Wheeler's dog.
That's right. The chicken was barking. Yeah, because he learned that from Wheeler's dog. Then later on, Mr. and Mrs. Douglas visit Sam Drucker at Drucker's store there in Hooterville. And sitting on the counter, Mr. Drucker has a cat. So he's stroking his cat, and Mr. Douglas kind of raises his voice, and the cat, here's the clip.
Matt Wheeler told me the two of you were over there for a negotiating dinner.
Yes,
Told me he spent almost the whole night trying to talk you out of drinking so much.
I don't drink that much.
She learned that from Wheeler's dog.
So, anyway, kind of gives you an idea of where I got the name from. And for some reason, I always thought that was funny. You know, they learned that from Wheeler's dog. So, Wheeler's dog is always kind of stuck in my mind all these years. And, you know, again, I still laugh hysterically to tears watching Green Acres and some of the things that they do on that show. You know, it's still a great show. And when I was a kid, you know, I was maybe like 11 or 12 years old, and Green Acres wasn't on local television then. And, you know, we didn't have cable. You know, cable was something exotic, something you might find deep within the city. You know, that was about it. We were just on the outskirts of Greensboro city limits, so we didn't have cable. And so Green Acres wasn't on the local TV channels. So me being someone that wanted to see Green Acres whenever I possibly could, I started a petition. That's right. I took around a petition to get people to sign it so I could give copies to the local TV stations to get Green Acres back on the air in Greensboro, Piedmont Triad area. Well, I think it sort of embarrassed my mother, especially when I took it to grocery stores. You know, I'd go to the grocery store with her and I'd ask people about signing my petition. You know, just complete strangers at the grocery store. So I think my mother was kind of like, this boy, what's wrong with him? But I was very serious about Green Acres. You know, as serious as you can be about a comedy. And I still think to this day that Green Acres holds up. I really think that they just took the audio from the original show and put it to animation. It would be a big hit with a new generation of kids. Kids would kind of get into it. But there are certain things on the show that, you know, just won't make it in today's world, today's society. And one of them I was recently watching, Mr. Haney would always show up at Mr. Douglas's place with something on the truck that somehow he heard through the wind of Hooterville that Mr. Douglas might need to purchase. And it was always crap versions of what Mr. Douglas needed. And so he shows up at the Douglas farm and he says, "Aloha, amigo." And Mr. Douglas is like, "Aloha, amigo." And Mr. Haney, this is Mr. Haney's words, not mine. He says, "Yes, that means hello, wetback in Mexican or Spanish." See, I've done ruined the joke. But anyway, that's the thing. That means it's Hawaiian for hello, wetback. That's what it is. Damn it. I messed up that joke. But anyway, that would not make it if you were to do my idea with Green Acres. I also think I Dream of Jeannie would be an awesome animated show. I mean, it's practically a cartoon with live action actors. You know, if you really watch it and think about it, it's pretty much a cartoon. And for some reason, everybody in that show has blue eyes. I don't really get it. But that would really translate well to animation. I think it would work fantastic. That way you can get a whole new generation of people watching these classic TV series. I think that would be very important because, you know, there's lots of comedy in that that's gone on forgotten. Gilligan's Island would be another choice. I mean, can you think of anything that would be good? Dobie Gillis would be a good one. If you're talking about the classic comedy TV series that you could animate and get kids back on board, because especially if it's black and white, kids aren't into that. No. They just can't get into the black and white stuff. Beverly Hillbillies would be a good one to animate, but, nobody's carrying cell phones or anything like that. So you could change that, whatever, happens, like the Beverly Hillbillies, instead of the phone that they have there in the kitchen that they're always on, you could have them just picking up a cell phone or something like that. So you can kind of make little updates into that don't have to be, over the top changes. It's possible. But anyway, the name Wheeler's Dog comes from Green Acres. And, feel free to check it out. Those things are streaming on Amazon Prime. Again, I think it's Enterprising Ebb Season 6 if you want to see it yourself. And this podcast right now, again, like I said, it's the first 5 episodes are going to be free. And then you can get on Patreon, contribute to my little calls, and get all the audio if you'd like. And there's also a phone number that you can call if you'd like to leave a message. It is 336. And see, I got to look it up because I am totally unprepared for this. I'm chomping at the bit to get this podcast going. And so I forget like little things. There it is. It's 336-422-6006. You can leave a message there. It's the Google Voice app that I'm using. So if you got any questions, anything to add to this podcast, again, 336-422-6006. Also, check out the Less Desirables podcast, part of the Less Desirables network. Man Who Ate the Town, I'm also part of the network. Man Who Ate the Town is a food kind of thing. There's also Fan Interference, Drink NC, Drink Sip NC, and of course Wheeler's Dog. My buddy Tim and I, we have such and such media, and that's what we do. We put out these podcasts. More him than me, but it's nice to be included in the Less Desirables network. Also, give my friend Jeff Kay's podcast some love. I kind of, with his blessing, I had to contact him about all this. I more or less stole the idea of the Patreon deal from his West Virginia Surf Report podcast. That's it. The West Virginia Surf Report has a blog. It's been around longer than mine. And the guy is quite funny, quite hilarious. His views on things crack me up sometimes, so check that out. Again, that's the West Virginia Surf Report podcast. That's also on Patreon. Again, I stole his idea of the different tiers because, to be honest with you, it's hard to monetize these things, to make any kind of money to support it. I mean, the microphone that I'm just now purchased, this Blue Snowball Ice microphone, which sounds fantastic. I was really surprised. I did cut off the air filter thing that's here in the game room, and if you do hear something else, it's probably the beer fridge running or maybe the oil heater in here. And, it takes things to do this. Like, I'm not completely done with the podcast. It's not exactly where I want it, but I had to start it because it's just, I'm being driven crazy about this. I want to get it going. I want to have a little fun with it. So I went ahead and did this, and I'm using my wife's laptop, her Dell, and I got Audacity free to do this, which I'm having problems with already because even though I use it at the radio station I work at now, WTOB, I'm not really cool or hip on how it all works with the multi-track version. Doing one track, I got no problem. I'm an editing genius on that thing. But now doing this multi-track thing, I'm not quite sure. And I've got a feeling that screwing it up. So this is a learning curve kind of thing. Eventually it's going to get to where I can actually get, Adobe Audition, which is something I know inside and out from working with in radio for 20 years. I love that particular format to do sound editing. And thank God I'm not on a Mac, because I did that doing some podcasts with the Less Desirables Network. We had a podcast and I ended up running these guys off because Tim put it on a Mac, and personally I think he just got too many bells and whistles in the whole thing, and it would drive me crazy. I'm pulling my hair out. I don't understand Macs. I didn't understand Pro Tools. I still don't understand Pro Tools. I would probably need a month-long course in how to run Pro Tools. I might need a month-long course in this Audacity software, but hey, I figure it will come as it comes. But eventually I want to get a PC down into my office here at the Big House. And by the way, the reason why we call it the Big House, it's not a big, huge house. It sits on a hill, and my father-in-law used to live here. He now lives just down the hill, just down the street, like a block, maybe 200 yards, if that. And so his house is a little smaller, so he would always refer to this place as the Big House. Now, his current wife, she used to live here, he used to live down there, and they don't live anywhere near each other now, but that's where it got the name, the Big House, and he lived in the smaller house. So that's where it comes from. And we just sort of adopted it, and we keep it because, I don't know, just stays good with the family. I mean, got a cousin that lives next door. My wife's godparents, Jamie, her godparents live across the street, basically, Bate and Bobby. Jim, Randy's the cousin. Jim's the father-in-law. The Mill that I call, the mother-in-law, Linda, lives with us here. Sam is currently attending UNCW. Matthew is away right now working on his $300 pickup truck that he bought in Virginia. And he's making that work. But anyway, it's life at the Big House. You'll hear more and more about it. Different little things that I'll talk about on this podcast, and hopefully you'll get a laugh out of it, and it'll be cool. But this podcast, I do appreciate you taking the time to listen. Check it out, see what you think, and give me a little like there on Facebook, Wheeler's Dog. Just look it up and give it a like. And also check out the blog. I'm still going to update it, wheelersdog.com. It is an award-winning blog, so hopefully this podcast will become an award winner as well. So now I've got the initial podcast out of the way. Got to do a little editing and then post it, and we'll see how you guys digest it or vomit it back up. I don't know, but I do appreciate you listening, and thanks.
You drink pretty good. Ever think of trying AA?
I don't...